What's up guys, welcome back to the video. So today we're going to be learning about useRef hook in ReactJS. So let's get started. So the useRef hook is a React hook that creates a reference object, and it manages the entire lifecycle of the component, and it's kind of like the instance of variables in class components which we do. So it's kind of like that. And this is a basic syntax. So of course for this you have to import the useRef from the React library, and yeah. So it's kind of like the state hook where you define stuff, but it's totally different, they both. And yeah, let's go ahead and see an example first of all. So let's go ahead and remove that. So these are the two files we're going to be using, the app and the focus. And in here what we're going to be doing is, first of all, I'm going to be renaming this file to the second example, which I'm going to be doing later on this video. So basically two examples. So first of all, this is a focus file which we created. So in this file, what we want to be doing is we want to create a text box. So whenever the page mounts or re-renders basically, or whenever the page loads and stuff, it have to focus on the text box. So that's pretty much about what we want to do, and we can do that by using useEff and useRef by importing them. So let's go ahead and see an example. So import useEff and also useRef. And there we go. So we imported both of them from the React library, and now we can go ahead and create a functional component named focus. We can just go ahead and have like that. And now what we can be doing is we can have something variable. So I'm just gonna put text focus ref, since it's a ref, and this is gonna be the useRef which we imported. So we're gonna be doing that. And now inside this you can put null if you want, or you don't even have to, but I'm just gonna put null. So we're gonna be seeing an example with null and without null. So in those two examples, one of them is gonna be without null, and this is the with null example. So now within this we're gonna be having useEff. So this is gonna be something like this. We are gonna be having an arrow function. There we go. So under this, if you have dependencies, you can do that, but let's go ahead and go on to that later. So here, now what we want to be doing is we want to be using this. So we're going to be doing text focus ref, the thing we define, .current, because that's how React notices and stuff. And now under this, you want to find the focus, and you're going to be doing that. So that's pretty much it, what you're going to be doing here. And since we don't have any dependencies, we can just put a blank area or an empty array. So yeah, and now let's go ahead and create a text box so that it returns stuff, and like create a text box so that we can see our output. So let's see how you can do that. So we're gonna be having return, and under this we're gonna be having an input. So we're gonna be having a type. So let's go ahead and put type equals text. And now what we're going to be doing is actually, yeah, let's just put it right here and see our output. So let's go ahead and do default, and we're going to be doing the focus. There we go. So now we're going to be importing this focus over here. Focus, there we go. And we're going to be using the focus. So that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and see our output real quick. So now we got an error saying the text focus ref is not defined. Let's see what we did. Okay, so we forgot to add a const right here, so let's go ahead and do that. And now let's go ahead and see our output. So this is our output. It just gave us an error, so let's see what we did wrong. So everything till here is perfect code, and the only thing wrong is over this input, because we're just defining the useRef as null, and we're not using it anywhere. So let's go ahead and do something like this. So we're going to be using ref, which is a reserved keyword already, and under this what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having the text focus ref, which we defined. And let's go ahead and see right here. So it already focused. There we go. So normally we can type in here, so we can type anything. So let's go ahead and do something like this. So if I reload, this is gonna focus. It's gonna be focused. So let's go and reload this page. And there we go. The page mounted, and it did. And what normally it's not doing it always, because we're having an empty array dependencies, and basically it's gonna only happen whenever the page mounts once and stuff. So yeah. So that's pretty much about this example. So I hope you guys understand with this example. So let's go ahead and see the second example. So I'm gonna be renaming this file to account. Actually, we're gonna put a counter actually. Yeah. And let's go ahead and do actually, yeah. And we are gonna be removing all this. And now what we're going to be doing is also we're going to be importing, removing all that. So there we go. So here we're going to be doing our imports. So our imports are just going to be the use. Let's go ahead and first of all do use effect, the use state, and also of course the use ref. So we have 3 imports right here. So let's go ahead and have a functional component, and it's going to be named as counter. And under this, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be defining first of all the use state. So const, and it's going to be named as count and set count. There we go. And we're going to be having the use state. So the reason why we are having the use state is because to display our counter and stuff, our basic default counter, how we do it. And the reason why we are having the use effect and the use ref is to display the previous count. So let's go and also define the use ref. So we are just going to be saying previous count ref equals, and then I'm just going to say use ref. And if you want, you can set it to null, but we're not going to be setting it to be null. So yeah. And now what I'm going to be doing is use effect. We're going to be having an arrow function. There we go. And since we, if you want, you can display anything, but we have some dependencies, so we're gonna see that later. So under this, what we want to be doing is we want to be having previous count ref equals the count. And it's gonna be storing the previous count value and then displaying us. And normally, basically, so if we take a look, what it's depending on is depending on the count, right? So that's why what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be saying as count. There we go. And there we go. So we have our use effect there, and also these two done. So now what we want to be doing is we want to create a function so that it increases our counter and stuff. So coming back basically to the default counter basically. So what we want to be doing is we're going to be doing const increment. Let's go and do increment count equals an arrow function. And under this, we're going to be having count plus 1. So now we're going to be doing set count for this. There we go. And now we're basically increasing the count right there. So that's pretty much about what you can do. And now what you can be doing is you can be copying this and pasting it another time so that you can decrease the counter. So decrement the counter. There we go. And that's pretty much about what we need. And now we're going to be having one last final step, basically just returning some stuff. So I'm just going to be having, let's say an h2 maybe, and that's going to be count. So this one is basically going to display our normal count, and it's not going to display the previous count, but a normal count. And we're going to be having our previous count. So first of all, let's put this in a fragment. There we go. And now let's go ahead and adjust that. So under this, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having previous count. This is where it's going to display our previous count. So first of all, in this, what I'm going to be doing is we can have, let's see what's the name of it. So it's the previous count ref. And we are going to be having a ternary statement. So first of all, if it's not equals undefined, so basically if it's defined basically, and then what we want to be doing is we are going to be doing we're going to be basically displaying it dot current, and this also should be dot current. There we go. And now what we're going to be doing, if it's basically undefined, we're just going to be displaying an a, or basically not a number, I guess. So let's go ahead and close this. So there we go. So this is our counter right here. So this is going to be just, so I'll just say you guys what's happening right here. So basically what it's saying is if it's defined, so that's why we did not equals undefined. So if you guys see that, it's not equals, and so if it's basically defined, it's going to display our counter. If it's not, then it's just going to display an a, which is, so basically whenever our page mouse is going to display an a, because like we didn't define it anywhere, and like it's not going to store anything for now. So yeah, and whenever our page mouse, that's going to happen, but after that it's going to be normal. So let me go ahead and zoom this, and we're going to be exporting the default of the counter. Because the functional component is counter right there. And now we can just import this. Import counter, and we can just go ahead and use this over here. And let me spell this right. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So we got an error saying assignment to the constant variable. So it's because of this right here. So a constant variable is basically over here. So what we want to do, okay, so we didn't define dockerent. So now if we do it, it's gonna work. So let's go ahead and see our output. And there we go, our count works. Our preview count is, for now, it's an A because we didn't define it, so it still didn't store anything. But if we have an increase and a decrease button, it's gonna work. So let's go and continue. So we're gonna be doing that, and there we go. So in this button, what I'm gonna be doing is it's gonna be an increase button. So it's gonna basically increase, and I'm gonna have an on click equals, and then this is gonna be increment counter, this one right here. And if you want, you can copy this, so that's gonna be a lot easier. So we're gonna be copying that, pasting that, and let's also adjust this. There we go. And this is gonna be decrement counter. So I'm just gonna change this I into DE. There we go. So that's decrement count right there, and that should work. So actually, let's spell this right. It's gonna be decrease, not increase. And there we go. So it works. So let me go ahead and zoom this. So this is our counter. It's for now it's 0, and this is our previous count. That's an A. So let's increase. And there we go. Our previous count got 0 because our count that time was 0. So let me go ahead and actually reload this page. So it's not a number because it's undefined. And this count is 0. So remember, if this is 0, so if I increase, it's going to be 1, and this is going to be 0 because it's going to store the previous count. And it's going to be doing that. So that works. But if I decrease, what's going to happen is, let's go ahead and decrease. Actually, first of all, I'll show you guys. So let's go ahead and decrease. So actually, let's increase. So here, now if I decrease this, there we go. Our previous count was 8 before, and that's why that happened. So let's go ahead and decrease. Okay, so we didn't change the sign to that. There we go. So now this should work. So increase, that works. Decrease. So now what's going to happen is if I decrease this, so there we go. So it's basically going to exchange kind of like the values. So if I decrease, now this is going to be 2 and this is going to be 1. There we go. So that works. This is going to be 2, this is going to be 1. And it also can go to the negative numbers and stuff. So yeah. So this is basically storing the previous count values and stuff. So this is another example using the useRef. So useRef is a lot important hook in ReactJS. So that's pretty much about useRef. So that's it for today's video. See you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.